There is a sentence that I believe has done more harm to people over 60 than almost anything else a doctor can say. It is just part of getting older. 5 words. 5 small, casual words that get tossed out in appointment after appointment, and every single time, they land like a stone in the chest of the person hearing them. I know this because people tell me about it constantly. They sit across from me, or they write to me, or they leave comments under my videos, and the story is always heartbreakingly similar. They noticed something was off. Maybe it started with forgetting where they put their glasses for the 3rd time in one morning. Maybe it was losing a word in the middle of a sentence, a word they have used 1,000 times, a word that should be as easy as breathing. Maybe it was that heavy, cloudy feeling that settles over the mind like a gray blanket, making everything feel harder than it should. Reading a book becomes a chore. Following a recipe they have made for 30 years suddenly requires intense concentration. Keeping up with a conversation at dinner exhausts them in a way it never used to. So they went to their doctor, nervous but hopeful, because surely there would be an explanation, a reason, something that could be addressed. The doctor listened politely, ordered some tests, looked at the results, and delivered those 5 devastating words. It is just part of getting older. Then the appointment was over. They drove home in silence, feeling smaller than when they arrived, carrying a new weight that nobody seemed to think was worth lifting. If this has been your experience, if you have been told that the fog in your mind and the slips in your memory are simply the price of aging, I want to tell you something that I believe with every fiber of my being. They were wrong. It is not just aging. It is not inevitable. It is not something you simply have to accept. And today, I want to show you why. I hear this every single week, sometimes every single day, from people who have spent months or even years resigned to the idea that their best mental days are behind them. They stopped questioning it. They stopped looking for answers. They adjusted their expectations downward and tried to make peace with a mind that felt like it was slowly dimming. Many seniors tell me that the hardest part was not the forgetting itself, but the loneliness of it. The feeling that nobody understood, that nobody took it seriously, that they were supposed to just smile and accept it because that is what getting older looks like. I want to challenge that belief right now because it is not just incomplete. In many cases, it is flat out wrong. What so many people have been attributing to aging, the brain fog, the memory lapses, the difficulty concentrating, the mental fatigue that shows up for no apparent reason, is frequently not caused by the brain aging at all. It is caused by something happening in a completely different part of the body, something that nobody thought to mention, something that, once you understand it, changes the entire way you think about your own health and your own potential. I am talking about your gut. I understand if that catches you off guard. The idea that your digestive system could be behind the fog in your head sounds almost too strange to be true. People over 60 often share with me that when they first heard this, they thought it could not possibly be right. The brain is the brain, the stomach is the stomach, and they live in different neighborhoods doing different jobs. That is what most of us were taught to believe, and for a very long time, that is what even many doctors believed. What we now understand, what is absolutely transforming the way we think about mental clarity and memory, is that the brain and the gut are not distant neighbors. They are intimate partners. They communicate directly, constantly through a pathway that carries signals back and forth every second of every day. When the gut is healthy and functioning well, those signals are clean, strong, and reliable. The brain receives everything it needs to think clearly, remember accurately, and stay sharp. When the gut falls out of balance, those signals degrade. They become noisy, incomplete, and unreliable. The brain does not stop working, but it starts struggling with tasks that used to feel effortless. That struggle is what people experience as brain fog, as forgetfulness, as mental slowness. They blame their age. They blame their brain. In reality, the brain has been doing its best with corrupted information coming from a gut that needs attention. I want to stop for a moment here because I can feel the weight of what some of you are carrying right now. Some of you have been living with this for years. You have adjusted your entire life around the assumption that your mind is declining, and you have done it quietly, without complaining, without asking for help, because you were told this is just what happens. I see you. I hear you. You deserve better than a shrug and a dismissal. So let me ask you something from the heart. How long have you been told that what you are feeling is just normal aging? How many times have you swallowed that answer even though something inside you knew it was not the whole truth? If you are willing to share, I would love to hear from you in the comments. You do not need to write anything long or detailed. You can simply say, "They told me it was aging, but I never fully believed it." That is all. Just those honest words. Because right now, someone else is watching this video and they are carrying the exact same doubt, the exact same quiet frustration, and they think they are the only one. Your comment can change that. It can be the moment another person realizes their instinct was right, that there is more to this story than aging, and that they are not alone in feeling that way. Please take a moment to share if you can. Every voice in this community makes it stronger. Now let me walk you through what is actually happening inside your body. Because once you see it, everything starts to make sense. Inside your gut, there is an enormous bustling community of tiny living organisms. Trillions of them. Think of this community as a thriving city. There are workers and builders, messengers and cleaners, each one contributing something essential to the overall functioning of your body. One of the most important jobs in this city is producing chemical messengers that travel directly to the brain. These messengers carry instructions and supplies that your brain depends on for clear thinking, stable mood, restful sleep, and reliable memory. When the city is thriving, when it has a rich and diverse population of different organisms all doing their specialized work, the supply chain to the brain runs flawlessly. Deliveries arrive on time. The brain has everything it needs. You feel sharp, alert, and mentally present. After 60, this city starts to change. The population begins to shrink. Some of the most skilled, most important residents start to leave, and they are not replaced. Entire neighborhoods within the city begin to empty out. The workers who remain are stretched thin, doing the jobs of 3 or 4 organisms that used to share the load. The production of those vital brain messengers slows down. The supply chain that was once reliable and consistent starts to falter. Deliveries to the brain arrive late, arrive incomplete, or sometimes do not arrive at all. The brain is still there, still functional, still capable, but it is trying to operate a complex system with dwindling resources. That is not aging. That is deprivation. Your brain is not getting slower. Your brain is getting less of what it needs. There is a profound difference between those two things, and understanding that difference can change your entire outlook. There is another layer to this that I find especially critical for anyone past 60. Your gut has a protective lining, a thin and delicate barrier that works like the walls of a fortress. Its purpose is to keep the good things in and the bad things out. Nutrients pass through. Helpful chemical signals pass through. Harmful particles, toxins, and waste are kept on the other side where they belong. When this fortress wall is strong, the system works beautifully. Your body stays clean on the inside, and your brain receives only the purest signals. Over the years, this wall can weaken. Think of an old stone wall in a garden that has been standing for decades without maintenance. Small cracks appear. Mortar crumbles between the stones. Weeds push through the gaps. Rain seeps in where it never did before. That is what can happen to the lining of your gut. Small gaps develop, and particles that were never supposed to enter your bloodstream start leaking through. When your body detects these foreign particles, it does what it is designed to do. It fights back with inflammation, not the visible kind, not a swollen joint or a red patch on your skin. This is a deep, silent, invisible inflammation that moves through your bloodstream like smoke through an old house. You cannot see it, you cannot feel it directly, but it touches everything it reaches. When it reaches the brain, it creates interference. Think of it like trying to watch your favorite television program while someone in the next room is running every appliance in the house at once. The picture is still there, the sound is still there, but everything is distorted, flickering, hard to follow. You find yourself squinting at the screen, straining to hear, working much harder than you should have just to understand what is happening. That is what inflammation does to your brain. It does not erase your ability to think. It buries it under layers of noise. Many of my patients describe this perfectly. They say it feels like their brain is working behind frosted glass, like the answers are in there somewhere, but they just cannot reach them clearly. Here is where the story turns hopeful, and I mean truly, genuinely hopeful. Your gut is not a static system that breaks down and stays broken. It is alive. It is dynamic. It is constantly trying to repair itself, to find its way back to balance, and it responds remarkably well to even small acts of support. The one habit I want to share with you today is the single change that people over 60 tell me, more than any other, made a real and noticeable difference in their mental clarity. It is adding a small serving of naturally fermented food to one meal each day. Just one meal. Just a small amount. Nothing extreme, nothing expensive, nothing complicated. I am talking about real sauerkraut, the kind that is alive with beneficial organisms, the kind you find in the cold section of the store, not sitting at room temperature on a shelf. I am talking about plain yogurt with live active cultures, the kind that proudly lists those cultures right on the label. I am talking about kimchi, a traditional fermented vegetable food that carries an extraordinary diversity of helpful organisms. I am talking about kefir, a smooth, tangy fermented drink that you can enjoy on its own or blend into something familiar. These foods work because they do something no pill or supplement can replicate in quite the same way. They deliver living, active, diverse organisms directly into that depleted city inside your gut. Think of it as a wave of new residents arriving in a town that has been slowly emptying out. They move in, they get to work, they start rebuilding what was lost. They produce those chemical messengers that your brain has been starving for. They help repair the fortress wall, closing the cracks that were letting harmful particles leak through. They restore diversity and balance to a community that desperately needs it. Many seniors tell me that within 3 to 4 weeks of this one simple daily habit, they started noticing changes. Not dramatic, not sudden, not the kind of thing that happens overnight. More like a slow sunrise. The fog began to thin. Words came a little more naturally. They could hold on to a thought long enough to finish expressing it. They slept a little more deeply. They felt a little more like the person they remembered being. One person told me it was as if someone had slowly turned up the volume on a radio that had been playing too quietly for years. The music was always there. They just could not hear it clearly until the static started fading. I need to be honest with you because that is the only kind of relationship worth having. This is not a cure. It is not a magic trick. I would never insult you by pretending that one food can reverse everything you have been experiencing. What I am telling you is that your body has an incredible capacity to heal when you give it consistent, gentle support, and that this particular habit is one of the simplest, most accessible, and most effective starting points I have ever encountered. Start with whatever fermented food is easiest for you to find and most tolerable for you to eat. A spoonful alongside your lunch. A small cup in the morning. Keep it small. Keep it daily. Give your body the time it needs and pay attention to the quiet shifts that begin to unfold. If what you have heard today feels like it matters, if something in this conversation has given you a sense of possibility that you had almost given up on, I want to gently invite you to subscribe to this channel. Every week, we go deeper into this remarkable connection between your gut and your brain. We explore different habits, different foods, different ways to support your memory, your mood, and your mental sharpness after 60. Everything is shared in simple, honest, accessible language because I believe you deserve clarity, not confusion. There are thousands of people in this community who understand what you are going through, who have felt the same fears and asked the same questions, and who are quietly, steadily taking small steps toward feeling better. You are welcome here. You belong here. When you subscribe, you are choosing yourself, and that is something worth celebrating. As we close this conversation today, I want to leave you with something I hope you carry with you. You have been lied to. Not maliciously, not intentionally, but you have been given an incomplete story about what is happening inside your body. You were told it was aging. You were told to accept it. You were told there was nothing to be done. That is not the whole truth. The whole truth is that your brain is still capable of remarkable things, and your gut holds a key that most people never knew existed. You do not need to transform your life overnight. You do not need willpower you do not have or money you cannot spare. You need one small spoonful, one quiet daily choice, one gentle act of caring for a part of your body that has been silently asking for help. Start there. Start today. Trust that your body knows what to do when you give it what it needs. You are not a victim of your age. You are a person with more power over your own health than anyone has given you credit for. This is not the end of your sharpest days. This could very well be the beginning, and you are right on time to start.